The advent of Europeans to India. We learn about the following in this chapter: the trade and commerce relations India had with Europeans, the arrival of Europeans to India for trade, the Carnatic Wars in the backdrop of European political developments, Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar, and dual government system, the British policy of aggression. Introduction. There were trade and commerce relations between India and Europe since ancient times. There was great demand for Indian pepper, cumin, cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, and many other spices in Europe. The trade relations between India, Europe, and other Asian countries continued even during the Middle Ages. The Arab merchants carried Asian merchandise to Constantinople of Eastern Roman Byzantium Empire. The Italian merchants would buy these goods and then sell them in European countries. Constantinople was thus the center of international trade and was considered as the gateway of European trade. While Arab merchants had gained monopoly over the trade in Asian countries, Italian traders had gained monopoly over trade in Europe. The merchandise from Asia brought good profits to Italian merchants. The fall of Constantinople. The trade and commerce between Asia and Europe was carried on through the city of Constantinople. In 1453, the Ottoman Turks captured the city of Constantinople. As a result, all the trade routes connecting the city of Constantinople came under the control of Turks. The Turks started levying too many taxes on the goods passing through these routes. As a result, trade became unprofitable. Meanwhile, Spain, Portugal, and other European rulers were attempting to break the monopoly of Italian traders. They started encouraging enterprising sailors to find a new sea route to India. The invention of compass, astrolabes, and gunpowder provided further impetus to this venture. A new sea route to India. Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese sailor, left Lisbon and reached Kapadu near Calicut on the west coast of India in 1498. Thus, he was successful in discovering a new sea route to India. This route continued to be the route of trade between India and Europe for many years. The Portuguese were thus the first to re-establish trade between India and Europe. European trade companies. With the success of the Portuguese, the Dutch, French, and the English arrived in India for trade. This development not only changed the history of India, it also changed the history of Europe. The Portuguese. The Portuguese were the first to arrive in India for trade and were also the last to leave India by the sea route. After Vasco da Gama, Francisco de Almeida arrived in India as the viceroy of the Portuguese. He implemented blue water policy in order to establish the supremacy over the sea instead of supremacy over land. Alfonso de Albuquerque, who came after Almeida, is considered as the real founder of the Portuguese power in India. He waged a battle against the Sultan of Bijapur in 1510 and won Goa. Goa became the administrative center of the Portuguese administration in India. The Portuguese had absolute monopoly over trade with India for a century, but their power declined with the arrival of the English and French in India. The rise and decline of the Dutch in India. In 1602, the Dutch East India Company came to India and established trading centers at Surat, Broach, Cambay, Cochin, Nagapattinam, Masulipatinam, and Chinsor. In the politics of Kerala, the one who lived in the most important phase and rescued an important principality from the foreigners was Raja Martanda Varma of Wayanad. He ruled from 1729 to 1758 and saved him from the surrounding rulers as well as foreigners. He made this as a great kingdom among all. He stood against the foreigners who were greedy of pepper and brought many reforms in administration. He shifted his capital from Padmanabhapura to Tiruvananthapuram and made his kingdom as World Travancore Province. There were confusions and chaos in this kingdom before Martandavarma came to throne. Earlier ruler Ramavarma was very weak. The Dutch East India Company possessed strong military power and had greater ambition in the politics. The surrounding rulers were also strong. The Polygars of Waynad made ruler Ramavarma weak. Even at a tender age of 10 years, Martandavarma suggested strategies to his maternal uncle Ramavarma for the raise of his province. As per that, Ramavarma contacted Pandyas of Madurai. This made the Polygars to keep quiet. This is how Martandavarma came to prominence at a young age only. After Ramavarma, at the age of 24 years, Martandavarma came to the throne. He compiled an army of 50,000 soldiers to extend the border of Waynad. He occupied the pepper-growing areas. By this time, the Dutch, who were trying to monopolize, was defeated by Martandavarma. He controlled the surrounding areas and made them to oppose the Dutch. The Dutch, with the help of the provinces like Kayamkulam, Cochin, Purakad, and Vada Kankur, attacked on Travancore. Raja Martandavarma defeated them and captured Nedumangala and Kotarakara trading centers. He also wrote a strong letter to the Dutch that he would never give up the trade rights of pepper to any foreigners. In 1741, the Dutch declared war on Travancore, with Kotarakara province in the forefront. Some of the local provinces also joined the Dutch, but the Martandavarma's army strongly sent it back. The Dutch came back to Cochin, but with the help of the Sinhalese forces, the Dutch attacked Martandavarma. 4 serious battles took place from 10th August 1741 at Kolachal. Finally, Travancore army had an upper hand in the battle, and 24 important officers of the Dutch were taken as prisoners. The Dutch suffered huge losses. After the battle, he did not keep quiet. He decided to root out the Dutch from India and establish the trade rights of pepper in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. He also got back the ports which were in the control of the Dutch. Cochin was recognized as a center of spice trade during the period of Martandavarma. Travancore became the richest province. Finally, on 15th August 1753, a treaty was signed and the Dutch forces surrendered their power to the Travancore province. This is how the period of Martandavarma has been recognized as an important phase in the history of India. The rise of the English in India and the acquisition of the islands of Southeast Asia by the Dutch were the factors for the decline of the Dutch power in India. The English. On 31st December 1600, Queen Elizabeth issued a royal charter authorizing the East India Company to trade with Eastern countries for 15 years. The company started the trade formally in 1613. The Mughal Emperor Jahangir issued a royal permission to the English to establish their first warehouse or factory at Surat. In 1617, Sir Thomas Roe arrived at the court of Jahangir as the royal ambassador from the court of James I. He sought permission from Jahangir to establish factories in other places of the Mughal Empire. The English established factories at Agra, Ahmedabad, and Broach. In 1639, the English took Madras from the king of Chandragiri and established a strong fort named St. George Fort. Later, Charles II, the Prince of England, gave Bombay on an annual rent of £10 to East India Company in 1668. In 1690, the English purchased 3 villages, namely Sutanuti, Calcutta, and Govindapura on the banks of the Hooghly River, and built Fort William. The city of Calcutta grew around this fort. By the end of 17th century, the English had established Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta as the centers of their presidencies. By the later part of 18th century, the English made Calcutta their capital city. They implemented their own civil and criminal procedure codes in the areas that were under their control. The French. The French East India Company started as a government-owned company in 1664. It started its first factory at Surat in 1668. Later, they established its factories in Machilipatnam, Chandranagar, Mahe, Karakal, Qasim Bazar, Balasore. In 1674, the French took Valikandapuram from a local Muslim official and developed it as a major trading center. Later, it came to be known as Puducherry or Pondicherry. This became the capital of the French until they left India. Dupleix, who arrived in 1746 in Pondicherry as the Governor-General of the French, had high ambitions of establishing the French as a major power in South India. This ambition led to the Carnatic Wars with the English. The competition between the English and the French. The Portuguese and the Dutch had withdrawn from India, unable to withstand the competition from French and English by the middle of 18th century.
Finally, the French and the English resorted to show of strength in order to establish their political supremacy over India. Meanwhile, political instability arose in the regions of Hyderabad and Carnatic, eastern part of Tamil Nadu, and both the English and French tried to exploit the situation in their favor. This led to 3 Carnatic Wars. First Carnatic War, 1746 to 48. On the request of Dupleix, La Bourdonnais, a French military leader from Mauritius, invaded Madras and captured it from the English. This forced the helpless British to request the help of Anwaruddin, the Nawab of Carnatic. The army sent by Anwaruddin failed to defeat the French at Madras. Finally, La Bourdonnais took money from the English and returned Madras and went back to Mauritius. This enraged Dupleix, and he attempted to take Madras but failed. Finally, the war ended with a treaty in Europe between France and England called Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. Second Carnatic War, 1749 to 1754. In the changed circumstances, French made Salabath Jung, another son of Asaf Jah, as the Nizam of Hyderabad. An officer named Buxar was appointed in Hyderabad for his protection by the French. In the Carnatic, Chanda Saheb had become the Nawab with the help of French. Robert Clive of East India Company attacked Arcot, the capital city of Carnatic, and defeated Chanda Saheb. Chanda Saheb was imprisoned and later killed in the war. In the place of Chanda Saheb, the English named Muhammad Ali, the son of Anwaruddin, as the Nawab of Carnatic. The Second Carnatic War ended with the Treaty of Pondicherry. The French recalled Dupleix. This war brought laurels to the English, while the French suffered a political setback. Third Carnatic War, 1756 to 1763. Count de Lally of the French attempted to besiege the fort Wandiwash in 1760. In this decisive battle, Sir Eyre Coote of the English army defeated the French and imprisoned Bussy. Lally escaped and hid in Pondicherry. Finally, Eyre Coote attacked Pondicherry, and Lally had to surrender unconditionally in 1761. The French lost all their bases in India due to the Carnatic Wars. In spite of this, as per the Treaty of Paris signed in 1763, Pondicherry was returned to French. With these developments, the French lost their importance in India. In this way, the English, by defeating all their rivals, started consolidating their power in southern India. The British rule in India. After gaining political control over South India, the British tried to gain control over the rich Bengal province in the later part of 18th century. The Bengal province had achieved tremendous growth in the areas of agriculture, commerce, and industry. The East India Company was making considerable profits from this province. The Dastaks, license, issued by the Mughal ruler Farrukh Siyar, were the main reasons for this. But these dastaks that were limited to the company transactions were misused by the individual officers of the company too. This resulted in huge loss to the Bengal government. Hence, All Nawabs from Murshid Ali Khan to Ali Wardi Khan opposed such misuse. This led to confrontation between the Nawabs and the company. This resulted in two crucial wars which charted a decisive course to Indian history. Plassey and Buxar were those two wars. Battle of Plassey, 1757. Ali Wardi Khan, the Nawab of Bengal, died in 1756. His grandson, Siraj-ud-Dowlah, came to the throne. The Battle of Plassey took place between the young Nawab, Siraj-ud-Dowlah, and the British in 1757. Reasons: 1. Misuse of dastaks. Siraj-ud-Dowlah was furious that the dastaks were misused by the officials of the company, causing losses to the government treasury. 2. Mending of the fort without permission. The British repaired the fort of Calcutta and placed cannons in them. This further angered Siraj-ud-Dowlah and ordered the removal of the cannons from the fort. The British refused to do so, angering the Nawab further. Black Hole Tragedy. Siraj-ud-Dowlah conquered Fort William easily and imprisoned some of the British. He imprisoned 146 Englishmen in a small room in the fort, of which 123 died. This is called the Black Hole Tragedy. This enraged Robert Clive and arrived in Bengal with a huge army. Robert Clive attracted rich locals like Manik Chand, Nemi Chand, Jagat Set, and others towards him. He was successful in convincing Mir Jafar, the military head of Siraj-ud-Dowlah, to stay neutral in the battle by offering him the post of Nawab of Bengal. Encouraged by these developments, Robert Clive declared a war against Siraj-ud-Dowlah on June 23, 1757. Everything went according to the plan of Clive. Siraj-ud-Dowlah, who tried to escape from the battlefield, was captured and killed. Outcomes: 1. This war brought out the immorality, lack of unity among the Indians, and the greed of Indian businessmen. 2. Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. 3. The company gained exclusive rights to trade in Bengal. 4. Mir Jafar paid 17 crores and 70 lakhs to Siraj-ud-Dowlah for war indemnity for the attack of Fort William. In a nutshell, Mir Jafar became a victim of the company and its employees. Even though the treasury went bankrupt due to this greedy nature, the greediness of the company and its officials was never satisfied. The British projected Mir Jafar as an inefficient Nawab and brought in his nephew, Mir Qasim, as the new Nawab of Bengal. Battle of Buxar, 1764. Mir Qasim was an efficient administrator. In the beginning, he remained loyal to the company. He paid 2 lakh pounds to the company and gave away a few places to it. Shortly afterwards, he declared himself an independent king. After verifying the misuse of dastaks, he declared all business was duty-free in Bengal. Indians competed against the British in all spheres of business. As a result, the British trade suffered considerably. This was enough for the British to oppose the Nawab. They brought in Mir Jafar again and dethroned Mir Qasim. As Mir Qasim knew the cunningness of the British, he went for an organized war against them. He was supported by Indian merchants and artisans. Mir Qasim entered into agreements with the Mughal ruler Shah Alam II and Nawab of Awadh, Shuja-ud-Dowlah. The combined forces of Mir Qasim faced the British army led by Hector Munro at Buxar in 1764. Mir Qasim was defeated and ran away from the battlefield. Shah Alam II surrendered. The efforts of the combined forces to stop the British failed miserably. Outcomes: 1. Shah Alam II accorded the Diwani rights over Bengal to the British. 2. Shah Alam II gave away all the rights over Bengal to the British for an annual fee of 26 lakh rupees. 3. Shuja Udala, the Nawab of Awadh, had to pay war indemnity of 50 lakh rupees for waging a war against the company. 4. With the death of Mir Jafar, the company paid pension to his son and took over the entire administration of Bengal. The Battle of Buxar made the British the real holders of power over Bihar, Bengal, and Orissa provinces. Even Awadh remained under their control. In 1765, Robert Clive brought in the dual government in Bengal. As for this, the British had the right to collect land taxes, whereas the Nawab had power over administrative issues like justice and others. In this way, the British gained political control over India to protect their business interests.